By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
Welcome to a brand new episode of Timmy Talks, the channel where we talk old school magic. And today we are back in Arnhem for the Camel Trophy. This is round number 2. And remember, this is a gentleman's tournament, meaning no Library of Alexandria or no Mind Twist. And we're also playing according to the Swedish banned and restricted list, but reprints are allowed for this one. Now, if you want to know more about the rules, please check the show notes. Now, here in round number 2, we have Juriaan, who is playing a red aggro deck, and he's taking on Wilco, who's playing a deck called Guardian Toolbox. Now, I've got lovely deck photos of both of these decks, but before I jump into the deck, I would first like to tell you that, as always, you can also choose to first watch the match, check out the deck decks later. The easiest way to do this is by checking out the description below, because there you will find several timestamps. One of the timestamps reads MTG Games. So just click on there. It'll take you straight to the games, and in that same description, you will also find a link to Timmy Talks Patreon page, and that is patreon.com/Timmy Talks. And I would really appreciate it if you could take a moment to visit that site and consider becoming a patron of the show. The patrons are really what keeps this channel going, and you can already support Timmy Talks for just $1 a month. Okay, and now that you're fully informed, I'm going to start with the deck decks. I'm going to start with the player on the left, that is Juriaan. Let's take a look at his red deck. And here we see the deck of Juriaan. So this is really a red aggressive deck. But what I find interesting about this deck is that he's combining multiple strategies, right? It's not really a goblin deck, only 2 goblins in here. It's not really a slide deck, maybe a little bit of a slide deck, because we've got a 1-drop in the creature slot. We've got a 2-drop, 4 2-drops, actually a 3-drop and a 4-drop, but not really your typical slide deck. It's not a 100% burn deck. Yes, it's got a lot of burn, but there's more to it than just that. It's also not a 100% ATOG deck. Yes, it's got a lot of artifacts that are kind of good to feed to the ATOG, but it only plays 2 ATOGs main, and actually none in the sideboard, so 2 is the max. So there are just, different strategies going on here. I think one of the things that Juriaan really wants to is to build a diverse deck that's just going to hurt against every opponent. I mean, are you a control deck? Then those vices are going to hurt. Do you have a quick deck, like do you play against mono green? Then the wreck is really going to hurt. Do you have big creatures in your deck? Then of course Meekstone's going to hurt. And at the same time, he's playing, of course, all the burn, chain lightning, lightning bolt, a firebolt, disintegrate. So he can also burn the opponent out. He's got a lot of really fast creatures himself as well. And then he kind of plays that Dragon Whelp as his top end. So that's kind of his big flyer that he can play out. And Dragon Whelp, I wouldn't underestimate this creature. Yes, it's 2/3, and the 3 toughness means it's boltable. But I mean, if you've got enough red on the board, red mana on the board, which is very plausible with this deck, you can kind of swing in big time with your Dragon Whelp. Just pump it up, and it'll destroy itself at the end of turn. But who cares if your opponent is dead before it's at the end of your turn? You know what I mean? So I think the Whelp is kind of underestimated. Could see a little bit more play in general in old school. I think, talking about underestimated, Fork is a card that recently is seeing more action here in the Netherlands. I think Fork, in a field with so much restricted, so much power going on, Fork is really good. You can fork a Mind Twist. You can, of course, fork Ancestral Recall. You can fork a Counterspell to counter the Counterspell and protect your own stuff. I mean, Fork is very good. And, of course, in this deck, Fork can also be your 5th bolt or your 5th chain to kind of be that extra 3 points of damage that's going to kill your opponent, right? What I like here as well is that 1 Time Vault. So there's a Time Vault here in this deck. Maybe you're wondering, why is there a Time Vault? I think the reasoning behind this is, if his opponent is kind of stuck, can go nowhere, you give him an extra turn, and you probably have a working Vice on the board, and your Meekstone is keeping all the big creatures tapped of your opponent. So when your opponent is stuck or just cannot afford to take extra points of damage from a Vice or a wreck, you can say, you know what? Take an extra turn. Then, of course, after that, you can take 2 turns, which could be quite deadly with such an aggressive and quick deck as this list of Juriaan. And then let's take a quick peek into the sideboards. We see that card that destroys all the planes. I forgot the name at the moment, but that can be really powerful because white is one of the most popular colors in old school. Unfortunately for Juriaan in this matchup, there's no white, but still I can see how that is a really good sideboard card. I also love the inclusion of Mana Barbs here. So Mana Barbs is a card that punishes your opponent for tapping mana. I really like it if you play against like those decks that have bigger plants. Mana Barbs could be quite good for you. Unfortunately, Mana Barbs only counts the lands and not the artifacts. And I'm saying unfortunately because in old school, of course, you got to see a lot of Moxen and other artifact mana. And then I also love the artifact blasts here in the sideboard card from Antiquities. Now that could be really useful in this matchup. So Juriaan, I hope to see an artifact blast. That would be awesome. I think artifact blast is the best answer to a Triskelion. And you're facing 4 Triskelions in this matchup today. So the artifact blast could be golden. Okay, so this is the deck of Juriaan. Now let's take a look at the deck of his opponent. And here we see the deck of Wilco. So this is a Guardian Toolbox deck, right? It's black and it's blue and it's got a lot of artifacts. And the term Toolbox comes from those transmute artifacts. It basically means, right, you sack your artifacts to the transmute to get another tool, another artifact out of your toolbox, which is the deck that you need. So maybe just good to first zoom into transmute artifact, because it is a card that you don't see that often. It's a sorcery for 2 blue. I have to say you don't see it that often anymore. It used to be seen a lot more frequently, but just not really popular at the moment. But these cards can always come back. But anyway, let's focus on what it does. It's 2 blue, it's a sorcery. It says sacrifice an artifact. If you do, search your library for an artifact card. If that card's mana value is less than or equal to the sacrificed artifact's mana value, put it into play onto the battlefield. If it is greater, you may pay X, where X is the difference. If you do, put it onto the battlefield. If you don't, put it into its owner's graveyard and then shuffle. So while I'm reading this, I'm realizing now transmute artifact could also be a way to get artifacts into your graveyard, which I think is absolutely not relevant in this matchup, but it just gets me thinking. Maybe you can do something with that. Talking about graveyard shenanigans, we do have a full playset of animate deaths in this deck, and I think those animate deaths are mainly to get your Guardian Beasts back. So Guardian Beast is really important in this deck. It's a 4-drop, 1 black and 3 for 2/4 from Arabian Nights that reads, as long as Guardian Beast is untapped, non-creature artifacts you control can be enchanted and they have indestructible, and other players can't gain control of them. This effect doesn't remove auras already attached to those artifacts. And by the way, I'm reading the current Oracle text of both the Transmute artifact and the Guardian Beast, in case you're wondering, like, hey, you're reading something else than what I'm seeing on the card. I prefer to, read the current Oracle text because we are playing according to the modern rules. Now, so what happens here, if you have Guardian Beast and Chaos Orb on the board, something really cool happens, because you get to flip your Chaos Orb, and then of course your Chaos Orb is destroyed at the end of turn, or sorry, after the flip. But wait a minute, it has indestructible, so it comes back into play. It does come back into play tapped, so you've got to wait a whole turn before you can use it again. But I mean, Guardian Beast and Chaos Orb, now that is a really sick combo. Another really nice combo in this deck, or combination, is Nevinyrral's Disc with Guardian Beast. If you pop the disc and your Guardian Beast is untapped, it is going to destroy the Guardian Beast, but the disc is indestructible, so also that comes back into play tapped. So it's just a really cool way, and again, I think that's also why we see these anime deaths here in the deck, just to get back those Guardian Beasts. Of course, anime death is also a great target for the Triskelions. We only see 2 Triskelions in this deck, but Trike, of course, always a good target. Can you imagine, for example, you shut off your counters here. Trike is now a 1/1. You feed it to the Transmute artifact to find a new Trike or to find that Chaos Orb, depending if you have Guardian Beast on board or whatever you need. And then, of course, you can do an anime dead on your Triskelion and it gets the counters back on it, So that's kind of sweet synergy as well. I think this deck is going to be really good. Just a quick look here in the sideboard of Wilco, and that shows us 4 blue Elemental Blasts, and I think those Elemental Blasts could be crucial in this matchup. Remember, he's facing Juriaan, and Juriaan is playing a mono red deck, so I mean, it's just great to have a full playset of blue Elemental Blast. Okay, this is the deck of Wilco. We talked about the deck of Juriaan, so that only means one thing: we are ready to go to round number 2 of the Camel Trophy. Enjoy. Game number 1, here we go, and I believe it's Wilco on the play. He's playing his Guardian Beast Toolbox deck. It's black and it's blue, and I see already a copy artifact there in hand, starting with an Underground Sea. And there's a Mox Jet. Is he going to play out the copy here to copy the Mox Jet? I wouldn't be surprised. There he goes. Copying the Jet, passing the turn to Juriaan. Juriaan's on a mono red deck. And it's got a lot of burn, but also a lot of artifacts playing with, and Black Vice and the Wreck in the same deck. Quite interesting. Also playing with a lot of 1-drops, but we're not seeing that right now, just passing the turn. Also playing with 4 Chain Lightnings and 4 Bolts, for example. There's a City of Brass, so 4 mana already here for Wilco. Are we going to see a Guardian Beast, perhaps playing with a full playset of Guardian Beasts? There's the Guardian Beast. So it's 2/4, card from Arabian Nights. And while the Guardian Beast remains untapped, all the artifacts of Wilco have indestructible. And there we see another mountain. Are we seeing Iron Claw Orc? No, we're not. Just a pass. So a very slow start, you could say, from Juriaan, especially when you look at his deck. It's not a slow deck at all, but we're just not seeing any action yet. Could be holding, of course, a double bolt. And perhaps thinking about aiming that to the Guardian Beast. I wonder now if you're Wilco, if you're going to attack with the Guardian Beast, because as soon as the Guardian Beast becomes tapped, I mean, the artifacts no longer have indestructible. So the double Mox Jet there, I believe he's tapped the Underground Sea, untapped it again, changing his mind. Now let's see what he can do next. Seems to be in the tank here at turn number 3 for Wilco. Tapping 3, okay. So untapping again. I wonder what he has in hand that makes it so difficult for him here to make a decision. Tapping 4, taking a damage, going to drop to 18. Are we going to see another Guardian Beast? Second Guardian Beast. And then, of course, you can attack with the other, because then the other Guardian Beast will protect your artifacts. It's going to put Juriaan here on 18. And I mean, Guardian Beast, besides its amazing ability, is also just a pretty decent creature, right? 4 mana for 2/4. It's pretty good. And here we see the Goblins of the Flark, a 1/1 Goblin from the Dark with Mountain Walk. Unfortunately for Juriaan, his opponent is not playing with any mountains. Can, of course, decide in game number 2 to board in the Blood Moons that he has in his sideboard. And Wilco tapping again for another damage. Oh, another Guardian Beast. Wow. Is he going to be able to play out like the complete playset of Guardian Beasts? That would be pretty cool. So 4 damage here for Juriaan, dropping to 14. And I mean, if Juriaan has a Bolt, for example, he could consider attacking with the Goblin. If it gets blocked right by the Guardian Beast, he can then kill the Guardian Beast with the Bolt. Of course, he is going to lose his Goblin if that's his plan, but just playing the Iron Claw Orc and passing the turn. Yeah, an Iron Claw Orc is looking pretty bad on this board. And just in general, I have to say it's looking really good for Wilco. I think the longer the game takes, the better it is for Wilco. So 3 of these Guardian Beasts. I mean, I would be tempted here to attack. Also remember, Iron Claw Orcs cannot block a creature with power greater than 1. So he only has that little Goblin to block on. So I would definitely attack with 2 Guardian Beasts. Unless he's got better options, of course. Okay, he's gonna, look at this, gonna attack with everything, attacking for 6 in total. Yeah, that's also a lot of pain, of course, for Juriaan. If he takes this, he's gonna drop to 8, and he does. Oh, dropping to 8 Guardian Beasts here of Wilco doing work. I've never seen the beasts being so aggressive as in this match. Remember, it's just game 1, but it's looking really good here for Wilco. And now he's got to decide if he wants to do something else in his second main. I mean, perhaps he's got a Transmute in hand. Nope, there's the Time Walk, right? So he's going to play Time Walk. Oh, there's a Fork. Oh, I love this. This is why I love Fork. This is why I think it's underplayed. Fork is so cool. So Juriaan is forking the Time Walk. And I think that basically means that you get to cross those turns out. So it's basically a counterspell on the Time Walk, if I'm not mistaken. And there you go, exactly. So just passing turn now back to Juriaan. And Juriaan now being on 8. And I think that Fork was really necessary, by the way, because he was on 8, or else he would have taken another 6 damage, dropped to 2. That would be quite bad. There's an ATOC, okay. I mean, Juriaan is not really finding anything useful. I wonder what those 3 cards in hand are. Might as well just attack here, exactly. Because you can't even block with the Ironclaw Orc, so it's better to just attack. Attacking here with the Goblin and the Orc. Changing his mind, though. Okay, attacking again here. Could, of course, consider keeping the Goblins of the Flark on blocking duty. So there's some damage here for Wilco, dropping to 14. But, I mean, he's got nothing to worry about. He's in a really good position. Could even consider attacking here with the factory as well. Because remember, Juriaan is so incredibly low. Another line he could take, and I'm just thinking out loud now, is keeping one of the Guardian Beasts untapped, then attacking with the factory, because the factory has got indestructible when it becomes an artifact creature, because it's an artifact. So it gets that Guardian Beast protection. Or wait a minute, it's only for non-creature creature artifacts, of course. So that doesn't work, unfortunately. Would have been kind of overpowered as well, now that I think about it. Anyway, Wilco tapping 4 here. Going to take another damage from his City of Brass. Going to drop to 13. Okay, there's a Transmute. So he's going to sack one of the Moxen. What is he going to look up? Are we going to see another Mox, maybe? A Sapphire that needs blue? Problem is, a good target obviously would be a Chaos Orb, but does he have enough mana to... Oh, because he tapped the Moxen, of course, to pay for it. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So he tapped the 2 Mox Jets to have 2 colorless mana in the mana pool, and then he sacked one of the Moxen. And now you get to see the Guardian Beast Chaos Orb combo, by the way, which is pretty sweet. So in a moment, I'm sure that Wilco will start using the Chaos Orb. And remember, because he has the Guardian Beasts, the Chaos Orb has indestructible. So instead of destroying itself after the flip, it's actually going to stay in the game. So now he's going to flip using the Guardian Beast as a target. And yep, taking care there of the ATOC. And as you can see, the Chaos Orb stays on the battlefield, but just tapped. And now the question is, do you want to attack with all your Guardian Beasts, or do you want to keep one Guardian Beast untapped for safety? You know, just going to go in there for 6 damage. And Juriaan going to go to 2 here. So the pressure is really on now for Juriaan. Potentially his last turn. I believe I saw Chain Lightning there in his hand. Yeah, Chain Lightning is really bad in this situation because it's sorcery speed. Look at that, just attacking with everything. So that's 5 points of damage. There's a chain, he's on 5, and I believe that's it. Passing the turn. Yeah, Juriaan knows it's game. Showing the 2 mountains in hand, and Wilco winning here, game number 1, but I guess he wants to finish it, and why not? There he goes, swinging in for 6, and winning game number 1, and now both players are going to dive into their sideboards, and we will catch back up with them in game number 2. Game number 2, here we go. So Juriaan on the play after losing that first game here in round number 2 of the Camel Trophy. And I believe he's taking a mulligan there, putting the Dragon Whelp on the bottom of his library. And hopefully for him, you know, he gets to see some better cards in the second game. I mean, his deck looked so slow in that first game, but when you look at the list, the deck should be quite quick. So hopefully he can show us that here in game number 2. Starting with the mountain. There we go. There are the goblins. So the 1/1 mountain walkers on the battlefield. So it's at least a quick start here for Juriaan. And let's see if Wilco can again have an early start there. Find that Mox and Underground Sea and Copy. That was a really good start for him in game 1. I do believe he's got an Ancestral Recall there in his hand, if I'm not mistaken. So there's again the Mox, so Mox Jet. And okay, there's a Swamp. So no blue mana for him. Okay, there's blue mana, I guess. There's, of course, the Black Lotus. Despite it being called a Black Lotus, it can make any color of mana. Sack it, get 3 mana of a color of your choice. So he could sack this for 3 blue, play out that Ancestral Recall, still have 2 blue in the pool, and 2, potentially playing out a Guardian Beast because they have a casting cost of 4. Looks like he's thinking about it. Okay, he is going to sack it here. What is he going to do? Yeah, there's the Ancestral Recall. Exactly. I would have been really surprised if he would have chosen not to play out the Ancestral Recall. So gonna draw 3. And there we see the Guardian Beast. Yeah, that makes absolute sense. So again, a great start for Wilco. And this must be tough for Juriaan, thinking, oh, are you kidding me? You know, after game 1 being quite unlucky, and now in game 2 looking at this top start here of Wilco. Really tough here for Juriaan to deal with this Guardian Beast to 2-4. You know, you can't bolt it, you cannot chain it. So it's almost always going to be a 2-for-1. Okay, this is good news for Juriaan that Wilco just plays a land and passes the turn. It's going to tap 3. What are we going to see for 3? Ooh, there's the Blood Moon. Yeah, this could be annoying for Wilco. Wilco responding here with the blue Elemental Blast. Coming in from the sideboard, of course. Yeah, that's another problem for Juriaan here in this matchup. After sideboarding, Wilco can board in 4 blue Elemental Blasts, and that's kind of a killer. And you don't see a lot of people playing 4 blue Elemental Blasts in his sideboard, but I guess Wilco was expecting to see a lot of red today. And I think it's a good choice because we've got quite a lot of red aggressive decks here in Arnhem for this tournament. So there we see a Mishra's Factory. Gonna tap 2. Are we gonna see a Demonic Tutor perhaps? No, we're gonna see a Terror. Again, a card coming in from the sideboard, and there's the attack for 2. So that's looking really good for Wilco. Of course, he's got a long way to go still, but okay, this helps. Wheel of Fortune, let's just get a fresh start. They're losing a Pestilence and also a Time Twister there. There's a Disintegrate, a Dragon Whelp, and an Ankh of Mishra. I mean, Disintegrate could be nice, but it still takes you 2 more land drops before you can disintegrate the Guardian Beast. Disintegrate being quite good here because remember, Wilco is playing with 4 Animate Deaths, and Disintegrate removes the creature from the game. There's a Mountain for the land for turn and just a pass. Ooh, that's cool. An Artifact Blast. I like it. I so want to see that Artifact Blast in action. I was already talking about it in the deck tech section of the video. A card that I think has the potential to see more play because Robots is such a popular archetype at the moment in Old School. And Artifact Blast is just such a good answer to those type of decks. So there's a Strip Mine here in hand for Wilco, I believe, thinking about what to strip. He's going to go there for the Factory. I would be tempted to go for the Mountain, the untapped Mountain. But of course, he doesn't know about the Artifact Blast in hand of Juriaan. And he's going to animate. He's going to attack. I mean, this is a risky attack, to be honest, because your 2/2 is very vulnerable, of course, to Lightning Bolts. Tapping, and he's going to play a Time Walk here for an extra turn. Are we going to see a red Elemental Blast? Perhaps he's going to tap 1. We're going to see a Bolt here. Yep, that's a good decision. So killing the Factory here, and of course taking 2. And I think for Wilco also was good timing with the Time Walk because Juriaan didn't have 2 red open for that fork that he did in game number 1. So let's see what Wilco can do with his extra turn. I believe I see another Mishra's Factory there in hand for Wilco, if I'm not mistaken. Could consider playing that out. Okay, looking in his graveyard. So perhaps he has Animate Dead in hand, but I don't think there are any creatures in the graveyard. There is, of course, a Dragon Whelp. Okay, so is he going to steal the Dragon Whelp here? That's an option. And with City of Brass, he can make red mana, so he can pump it up, actually. Okay, there we see the Mishra's Factory that I spotted earlier in his hand. Now he's going to tap 2 black. Are we going to see an Animate Dead? There's the Animate Dead. Stealing Juriaan's Dragon Whelp here and attacking for 2. Yeah, and this is really good here. Now do remember, Animate Dead gives -1/-0 to the creature, so the Dragon Whelp is now a 1/3. So not that impressive, but still. There we see a Factory here from Juriaan. Tapping a red. Tapping also the factory there. Okay, there we see an ATOG. Hitting the board. 1/2 creature from Antiquities. There's another red. There's a Goblins of the Flark. And there's the Wreck. Not doing anything, but at least it's food for the ATOG. So it kind of has a function. There we see Wilco tapping the city or not. Looked like he wanted to do something with the city. Yep, tapping the city. Blue Elemental Blast on the ATOG is taking a damage, dropping to 17, but it's looking good again for Wilco. I kind of feel like he's got more answers, he's got more threats. And the Wheel of Fortune was better for Wilco than it was for Juriaan. There we're going to see the animate here of the factory, it seems. I mean, it's kind of safe to do it now because Juriaan is tapped out, so you don't have to worry about a bolt again. But decides not to. Look at that Goblin of the Flark simply jumping it. And he takes 2 damage from the Dragon Whelp. And another Guardian Beast. Wow, yeah, this is tough. Juriaan really in need of something good here. A Dragon Whelp would be quite nice because it can block the Dragon Whelp of Wilco. Tapping 2 here. Are we going to see another ATOG? No, we're going to see a Copper Tablet. Yeah, it's not great. Going to take a damage from the tablet, I guess. Going to go to 15. If they remember the trigger. But I guess they don't. And here we see an Underground Sea. Yeah, I mean, the deck of Juriaan just seems a little bit unbalanced. That maybe there are too many ideas all put together in one deck, you know. That's the vibe I'm getting at least. Yeah, there's the attack. There we see a bolt. At least it's something, you know, taking care of the flyer here, but he's still taking 4 from the Guardian Beasts. That would mean he drops to 7. Okay, apparently he's on 12, so that would mean he drops to 8. So he goes to 8, then he takes the damage from his own Copper Tablet, which I actually think is worse for him than for Wilco. And there we see the Neverno's Disc. No real reason to use the disc, but at least it's on the board. Going to draw a card for turn. Again, forgetting about the Copper Tablet. Exactly. And now both players remind themselves here. Wilco going to 15. And Juriaan going to 7. Passing the turn with the Time Vault. Yeah, all these cards are not really helping Juriaan move forward. You know, he still has to face those 2/4 Guardian Beasts. Exactly. Wilco reminding the damage here dropped to 13. I mean, he could just swing in for 4 again, you know, and he could put Juriaan on 3, then the Copper Tablet puts him on 2. I mean, he's so close to losing this match here. And Wilco here thinking, do I want to attack? The answer, of course, is yes, attacking here with both. And I mean, one of the things that you can do if you're Juriaan is animate your factory, block and pump it. You know, and block 1 decides not to, though. Goes to 3. I wonder why he's not blocking. Gonna take another damage. He's on 2. What can he do? 2 cards in hand, 2 life. It's looking so bad here for Juriaan. Passing the turn here. Wilco dropping to 12. Another disc in hand. Not quite sure why he's going to 10. Looks like he's giving Wilco another turn here after this one because he's untapping his Time Vault. Animating, blocking, and bolting. So at least killing one of the Guardian Beasts. But then still he takes 2 and he dies if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he's dead, right? Or am I missing something? Yeah, he's dead, exactly. That's it. I thought, huh? Am I missing something? So he dies here in game number 2, and that was a very convincing win here by Wilco. Wilco, congratulations with winning round number 2. Now, if you're enjoying this tournament, make sure to keep your eye on the channel because we have more action coming from the Camel Trophy. Next time, it's round number 3, and we're going to continue all the way up to the finals. So if you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. Okay, so thank you for doing that. If you're already subscribed, thank you for supporting the show. Please leave a like, a comment, and share it on your socials. All these things are free and really help the channel move forward. And talking about moving forward, you can also become a patron of the show. Check out patreon.com/TimmyTalks to find out how you can get your name in the end scroll at the end of every single video. What end scroll? This end scroll.
What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises early in the morning. Putting in the longboat until he's sober, putting in the longboat until he's sober, putting in the longboat until he's sober early in the morning. Way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. She rises early in the morning. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Early in the morning. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises early in the morning. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Put in the scouts to the hood, my son. Put in the scouts to the hood, my son. Put in the scouts to the hood, my son.
Ficus, sumba, kazee.